Your work bestie is a liability, and the harmless venting you did today could be the exact reason you are quietly replaced tomorrow. You put in the hours and play the team game, yet watch less qualified people get promoted while your career stagnates, all because you treated the office like a confessional booth. Today, you will discover the exact boundaries the top 1% of earners strictly enforce to maintain absolute leverage and bulletproof their careers. I'm Steve, and it's time to rethink workplace survival. Let's break it down. So, look, the landscape of work in 2026 is, well, it's honestly hyper-competitive, completely paranoid, and totally unpredictable. Everyone is looking for an edge, and the very first thing you basically hand over on a silver platter is your exact financial situation. I see people doing this all the time. They complain about rent going up, or they casually mention how much they made on a crypto swing, or worse, they talk about their mounting debt. Here's the reality. If management knows you are desperate for money, they know you won't quit, which means they don't have to give you a raise. You have zero negotiating power. Conversely, if they think you're rolling in cash from an inheritance or a lucky investment, suddenly you don't need that bonus as much as Steve with the 3 kids. Keep your bank account a ghost town in their minds. And right next to that, honestly, is your side hustle. It is 2026. Everyone has a side hustle, right? But the second you tell Karen from accounting about your e-commerce store or your freelance consulting gig, you've planted a dangerous seed. The next time you're 5 minutes late or you yawn in a morning meeting, it's no longer, oh, they're tired. It's, oh, they're distracted by their other business. They will weaponize your ambition against you. It's wild, but that's just human nature. Which kind of leads me to something that I think we all get wrong when we try to build rapport. We share our deepest relationship drama. We think, venting about our partner or a messy, drawn-out breakup makes us relatable. We want sympathy. But in a professional setting, it just makes you look emotionally unstable. Imagine a senior executive deciding who gets to lead a massive, high-pressure project. Are they picking the person who spent 45 minutes crying in the break room over a read receipt? Or the person who seems emotionally bulletproof? You want to be the rock, not the soap opera. And speaking of soap operas, let's talk about your unfiltered opinions on management. Just don't. Seriously. I don't care if you're out at happy hour after 3 drinks. I don't care if you're on a private Slack channel or a Discord server with your closest work friends. Screenshots exist. The people you think are your absolute brothers in arms will absolutely use your venting as leverage to save their own skin if layoffs roll around. If you think your boss is wildly incompetent, write it in a physical journal, burn the page, and scatter the ashes. Never give someone the ammunition to label you a toxic presence. This brings us to a massive one, the invisible tripwire of the corporate world, your exit strategy. I can't tell you how many people casually drop hints that they're updating their resume or looking at a competitor, thinking it makes them look highly valuable. Look at me, I'm in demand. It doesn't work that way. It immediately labels you as a flight risk. The second a company thinks you have 1 foot out the door, they will strip you of important projects, cut off your access to sensitive information, and secretly start interviewing your replacement. You go from a key team member to a liability overnight. If understanding these invisible office power dynamics just saved you from making a massive career mistake, hit the subscribe button and like this video. We're building a community of people who play the game to win, and you'll want to be here for the next strategy breakdown. All right, moving on. Let's talk about the stuff that feels like it should be safe but absolutely isn't. Your detailed medical history and deep mental health struggles. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about requesting a legal medical accommodation. Do what you gotta do to survive and take care of yourself there. But I mean the casual oversharing about your severe anxiety, your panic attacks, or, your chronic burnout. We live in an era that loudly preaches, bring your whole self to work. But frankly, corporate structures aren't built for your whole self. They are built for the productive version of you. If you overshare your deepest vulnerabilities, unconscious bias immediately kicks in. People start treating you like you're fragile, and fragile people don't get handed leadership roles. Oh, and a quick tangent while we're on the subject of bringing your whole self. Keep your weekend survival mechanisms to yourself. Basically, no one in the office needs to know about the massive bender you went on or the reckless stuff you did on Saturday night. It might make for a hilarious story by the water cooler, but in the back of your supervisor's mind, they're quietly questioning your judgment and your long-term reliability. You know what else people share trying to be relatable? How little they sleep. Bragging about burnout is this weird, contagious corporate disease. Oh, I only got 3 hours of sleep. I was working on the slide deck until 4 a.m. Honestly, it doesn't make you look like a hero anymore. In 2026, where efficiency and AI tools are everywhere, working yourself to death makes you look like you have terrible time management skills. It screams inefficiency. And then there's the past. We all have a past, but you should never, ever share the messy details of a past job firing or a workplace scandal. Even if you were 100% the victim, even if your last boss was a literal supervillain who actively tried to ruin your life. Why? Because the moment you bring that heavy drama into your current workplace, you become the common denominator. Your new coworkers won't think, wow, poor them. They'll think, I wonder what they did to cause that. It's entirely unfair, but perception is reality. Let's hit a few modern landmines. First, your extreme political or social stances. I don't care what side of the aisle you are on, or how righteous your cause is. The workplace is a melting pot of wildly different backgrounds, and in today's hyper-polarized climate, a casual political comment can instantly and permanently alienate the exact person who needs to sign off on your promotion. Keep it aggressively neutral. Be a blank slate. Second to last, and this sounds so obvious but people still do it every single day, your personal security, hygiene, and passwords. Oh, my password is just my dog's name, 123. You laugh, but in an age of intense cybersecurity audits and AI-driven social engineering, being the weak link in company security will get you fired faster than almost anything else. Keep your digital life completely locked down and your mouth shut about how you manage it. And finally, the 12th thing, the silent killer of careers, your deepest life insecurities. Imposter syndrome is incredibly real. We all feel it. I feel it. But do not sit down with a coworker and say, honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing in this role. I feel like a total fraud. They might nod and beautifully comfort you in the moment, but you've just planted a massive seed of doubt about your competence. They will start noticing your tiny mistakes more. They will subconsciously start believing that maybe you are a fraud. If you need to unpack your imposter syndrome, talk to a therapist. Talk to a mentor entirely outside the company. Talk to your cat, but never hand your coworkers the lens of your own self-doubt. When you step back and really look at all of this, the core message is incredibly simple. Boundaries are power. Every single time you overshare, you are handing a piece of your leverage to someone else. You are giving them a lens through which to judge you, analyze you, and ultimately put you in a box that you never asked to be put in. Look, I get it. You spend 40, maybe 50 hours a week with these people. It is completely natural to want to form real human connections, to blur the lines between colleague and confidant. Work can be an incredibly isolating experience, and sometimes you just want someone across the desk to genuinely understand you, but you have to protect your peace. You have to remember that a corporation is not a family, and an office is not a support group. It is an economic transaction. Your goal should be to be the most kind, helpful, and pleasant person in the room, while remaining completely unfathomable when it comes to your private life. You want them to respect your brilliant work, not analyze your weekend. Starting tomorrow, just practice the art of the polite deflection. Share the surface, protect the core. Build your deepest, most authentic friendships outside those office walls, where your vulnerability is met with love, not a performance review. Take a breath, reset your boundaries, and just watch how much more control you feel in your career. You've got this.